Hi, I'm N7 Strider with my Batman Eternal issue 4 review. Well, to get things off the bat first and foremost, as always, my review will follow the same format where I'll be discussing spoilers at the end, but first of all I'm just going to review things. First of all, just look at that cover. That's a great cover. When I saw it, I was really excited for this issue in particular. This issue's cover did appear at the back of Batman Eternal issue 1 on the very final page, the editorial page, where it just gives you a little preview of things to come. And I saw this cover in particular, I was just like, damn, how are things going to escalate to that? I had a rough idea, of course, but I didn't quite understand how things will go to this very quickly. So first things first, does that happen in this issue? Kind of. Last issue I was disappointed with issue 3 because the scene that was there, that was advertised on the front cover, which you expect to at least see in the comic, never happened in the comic. And this one with the whole lightning flashes and Batman and Batgirl and going at it, you think that scene's going to happen here, and quite frankly, it doesn't. Well, it happens in a roundabout way, but I can't really talk about that. It's not the epic fight you think it's going to be. It's literally a couple of panels and it's over. I can't really go into it without discussing spoilers. So what do you expect the artwork to look like that? I was always concerned of the past 3 issues with the artwork being so strong that the artwork will continue at a strong pace. You'd think it would look like this. Well, I'm just going to turn just to a random page. I'm going to try to pick one with 0 spoilers. Let's see if we can get 2 pages here. No, the artwork doesn't look anything like that. And some of the characters look even bizarre in comparison to what they used to look like in previous issues. Some of them are kind of deformed looking. Lieutenant or whatever his rank is, Detective Bullock looks quite bizarre when you see him in the few panels that he does turn up in. Also, Detective Bard, who's the newcomer to the new 52 at least, Batman comics, looks nothing like how he does in the previous comics. He looks more like Captain Eisen from Bleach. At any minute I keep expecting him to take his glasses off and slick his hair back and look completely different yet again, but that's just me. He seems to look completely different. So the art is a complete misstep. The thing is though, I've seen this guy's artwork before and it's actually pretty good. It's not to this standard here that looks weird, and it always is a bit jarring when you see a new guy just taking over with the art, but it looks so weird and I don't understand that, why it suddenly looks odd. Also, there's a time jump between last issue where there were fires starting in Gotham and shit seems to be going down, and there's a time jump, time skips, and we don't get really explained what happened in the time we're missing. What happened? There were fires starting in Gotham. The first issue, in the first panel of Batman Eternal, we saw Gotham in flames. What happened? Did the fires just go out? The police weren't responding. Did the fire brigade respond? We know that the spoilers for issues before this one, but we know the mayor's corrupt and is in Falcone's pocket. So why did Batman respond? I don't know. There's a time jump, and we don't really get explained what happened in that time. By the way, I'm sorry, the video recording quality is a little weird. I've recently discovered that my camera has a zoom function on it, so I'm going to have to watch this back and make sure it's all right, because I'm getting a slight bit of delay on my end because I am zoomed in. Yeah, so there's the time delay, and there's a time jump. We don't know what happened. It's just, it kicks off just at a random point and just says, yeah, stuff's happened. It's just like all that came before, that's happened. It's over with now. So the story's a lot slower paced in this one, and I actually appreciate that in comics. You can't always have action. You do get tired if you just get action on every page. Plus, I do expect with the 52-part series that some of the sometimes it's going to slow all the way down. We're not going to have action every issue. I do understand that the artists are going to have to change and the writers are going to have to change, but I just can't for the life of me understand why this issue looks the way it does, and the pacing just changes all of a sudden. It's very, very jarring. If you've been following Batman Eternal so far with issues 1 through 2, 3, and you pick up number 4, it is a bit jarring when you first open the page, especially when you see that and you think that's going to happen, and you look at the lovely artwork. That is sort of nice cover, but it's very, very jarring when you see artwork that looks like this. Especially when on the same day I picked up this. So, to you Marvel fans out there who think I only read DC and I don't read Marvel and I don't like Marvel, I wanted to show you this. No, this isn't what I wanted to show you actually. What I wanted to show you was this. I like both Marvel and DC, okay? So there's no need to be sending me any messages and saying, oh, DC fanboy, bigging up the Batman Eternal. I like Marvel too. I go and see the Marvel films. I don't like what they're doing with DC films at the moment, okay? I like both. I even like Image comics. I've read Spawn. I've read the Vertigo line of DC with Hellblazer. It's quite possibly my favourite comic book character of all time. But I do have a love of Spider-Man. He's the comic book character that got me into comics. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about heading to that private messages box, instead you can leave it in the comments below. There's really no need to private message me and say I'm a DC fanboy, because I do love Marvel, okay? So I picked this up on the same day. There's the art on the outside, nice, colourful, slightly cartoonish. Okay, I'm not saying it's for kids, because as we can see down there it says rated T for teen, okay, or young adults if you prefer. So I picked this up on the same day. I looked at that cover art. What do you expect the cover art to look like what do you expect the art to look like on the inside? Let's just get a nice early page, so I'm not spoiling anything for you, but I'm trying to find something. Look, it's exactly the fucking same and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I read this from start to end, slightly thicker issue because they do bundle in humans in here on you, and of course they charge you for that. I've no interest in humans. I wanted to read this because I read Superior Spider-Man and I loved it. In fact, there was Marvel fans criticising Superior Spider-Man because it wasn't Peter Parker anymore. Now, when I found out that Doc Ock was now in Peter Parker's body and being Spider-Man, that piqued my interest into reading into Spider-Man again, and I loved Superior Spider-Man. I'm just so glad that at the end of it, everyone who was naysaying, saying Peter Parker is should be Spider-Man, and this Doc Ock Superior Spider-Man is ruining the whole thing, they had to turn around and eat their words at the end, because Superior Spider-Man, phenomenal. Peter's back now, so you can stop your griping, but I loved Superior Spider-Man. And I'm not going to do a review of this because I don't know as much about Marvel Comics as what I do DC outside of the cinematic universe anyway. I know enough to hold a conversation with someone, but if I can't do the issue justice, I won't review it, but I will say it's a fantastic read, and I enjoyed reading this more than I enjoyed reading this, and I picked them up on the same day, okay? So there we go, there's the whole Marvel DC thing over and done with. So back to Batman Eternal, which is why we're here. Okay, it's a lull in the issues, we've got to accept that. So that's all I can say. It's unfortunately a low point in what is going to be this 52-part series. Over and done with, that's my review over. So from here on out we're talking about spoilers again and talking about the story. So if you don't want to know the story of issue 4 and you intend to pick it up yourself, then please do so. Also ignore my coat, which is hanging off the doorknob back there, which I normally take off when I'm recording. I'm very distracted at the moment. I've not had much sleep. So the story starts with a courtroom drama. If you remember from my last issue review, you will know that I said I hope we get to see Jim Gordon go to court in this. It will be interesting, and we get to see just that. I did expect it maybe around the issue 40 mark and not the issue 4 mark, but what are you going to do? At least I called it and I said, like, I'd like to see this go to court at some point, and it happens in issue 4. So that happened. There's, normally it takes like months, sometimes even years for something to go to court. So how big a time jump are we talking in this issue? It doesn't seem to say. So of course he's found guilty, but no bail or whatever, and the courtroom scene is actually kind of short. As he's being led away by I don't know what they call them in America, but the court police officers. Do they have a name? I can't remember the name off the top of my head. The guys who, once the criminal's found guilty, lead them away and put them in a cell or whatever. So that happens, and as he's being led away, he speaks to Barbara briefly, and he's actually doubting his own insanity, his own sanity rather. Where it's like, did I really see a gun? I might not have seen a gun. I may have actually made a huge mistake. So it's been fantastic seeing him throughout these issues become doubtful. Like initially, like, I'm sure I saw a gun too, all the way down to maybe I didn't see a gun. So it is good to see him. Really, it gives him some more. It makes his character more rich, is what I'm trying to say. So the next scene, well, interspliced with this scene, we do see Batgirl. She's kicking the crap out of Professor Pig's henchman just because she's angry. She wants someone to blame, pretty much like Batman himself, really. It is at this part that we do see this kind of not scene where Batman comes in. He stops her from beating up the henchmen. They haven't done anything wrong yet, but they are henchmen. It's kind of the job. And she does punch him twice, and Batman catches the third punch. That is the big confrontation that we're seeing on the front cover here with the lightning flashes and the fancy kung fu kicking. So it's just that's it. It's dealt with in 3 panels, in fact, and then the 4th panel is Batman saying "calm down." The scene then runs over to Stephanie Brown. She's still running away from home. She calls up her mom, of course her mom and her dad, which is, I can't remember his name, something Brown? I can't remember. But her dad, the Clue Master, of course they're divorced, so she's ringing up her mom from a payphone, as she says, probably the last working payphone in Gotham. She says, I can't trust them, I can't use my mobile, maybe they can track me. She's obviously got a little bit paranoid at this point. So yet again, who knows the time jump? Has she been gone for days, weeks, months? We don't know. The time jump isn't explained. All we know that there is one. Maybe it's only a day. It doesn't explain it. But she says, I can't trust using my cell phone. They're tracking me. Dad, who's calling himself the Clue Master now, there's this big plan, all of Gotham is going to burn. And her mum's like, okay, hold on, I'm coming for you. It's at this point where when Stephanie hangs up the phone, she actually starts walking off. So I don't know, maybe she doesn't trust her mother or something, but she walks away. But I didn't really understand those panels anyway. It's like her mum says she's coming for her, but maybe she was right not to trust her mother, although there's no explanation of if she trusts her mother or not. It just shows her walking away, or maybe she just wanted to let her know her mum was fine, because her mum then turns on the TV and it's a direct line through to her ex-husband Arthur Brown, the Clue Master, and she's like, Arthur, you've got a problem. What if Stephanie had actually pressed the button on the TV remote that got through to her dad? What? Did no one think of that? Maybe she spent too much time on a cue pad from the last issue. Fuck, I hate that cue. Why the fuck is a cue pad? Yeah, so her dad appears on the TV screen, and I was instantly thinking when I reading that panel, what if Stephanie Brown had pressed the button on the remote control that took her through to her dad? Just teenagers, watch TV, don't they? Still, or are they always on the Q pads now? I don't know. So we then move to GCPD with Forbes. He's still a dick. That's the whole purpose of that scene right there. It stretches for I think 3 or 4 pages where he's just being a dick. There's a little more. Bard is talking to him about crime that's been happening. Pig's henchman broke into a pharmaceutical lab last night, but they were already dealt with by the time we get there. So maybe it's been 2 nights since the time jump, because it was the last night now that we don't see. But so Batman obviously intervened. Forbes isn't bothered. He wants Batman because he's in, Falcone's pocket. Okay, Batman. Sorry, I do have to check my notes still because there was some stuff happening in this issue. It's not like it was completely devoid of stuff. So Batman visits Falcone. They have a nice little chat. I don't know why Batman visits Falcone. He just suddenly comes crashing through the skylight of his penthouse apartment or mansion. Doesn't really show the outside of it, but Falcone obviously has property in Gotham now. Time jump. It's not explained. Did he buy it before he got there? No, we don't know. It's just time jump. He has property in Goons now. Your guess is as good as mine. So Batman just turns up for no reason. He cracks, some skulls of henchmen. There's a bit of action here. I don't know why he went. It seemed to be to deliver the message to Falcone that I'm watching you. Falcone does say something interesting at this point where he says, I have unfinished business here, and as he does that he touches the 3 scars on his cheek. I do believe those were administered by Catwoman, who may or may not be his daughter in the New 52. I don't think it was established whether Catwoman, that's a completely different character. Catwoman was his daughter pre-New 52, but they're sort of alluding to something here. I mean, only Catwoman uses the claws. I mean, I know Batwoman and Batgirl's gloves are slightly more pointed, but I don't think they're actually capable of inflicting flesh wounds. So I do think it was Catwoman who administers these scars, who says, I've got unfinished business. Cuts to the Batcave. Batgirl is still very angry with Bruce. Alfred has tried to, because this jumps again in time, after Batman has returned from the Falcone mansion, penthouse, wherever the hell he is. It jumps to Batman return into the Batcave. Batgirl's there, very angry. Alfred's tried to get her to leave, and Batgirl's in costume, which Bruce questions. She's using the Bat computer, which is the first time in New 52 that we've seen her do this, and I do think we are leading up to Batgirl being paralysed again. I do think this is going to lead to Oracle. As I said in my previous issue review, I do think they are starting to lead things back to where they were before the New 52 reset. So I think this new series is going to see, but I hope not. I do like Batgirl. It's such a good series. Batgirl currently in her series is close to the edge, and it's making sense that she's also extremely angry in this. So so it does kind of, but not really, tie in a little. But I do think Batgirl is unfortunately going to end up paralysed again, maybe at the end of this series, Batman Eternal here, and that would see Batgirl's series disappear, which would be a crime. So Barbara Gordon accuses a random guy using the Bat computer. She's watching this security footage, and she just accuses some random guy of being, he was at the tube station crash, subway station crash, as that's what she's watching on the screen. She's just like, it's that guy. It turns out to be some Brazilian. She uses the facial recognition. turns out to be some Brazilian soap opera star, but he does have ties to, according to Interpol, to some big drug dealers or weapon dealers or something. So he's under investigation by Interpol, and Batgirl goes out into the night to dispense some justice to presumably an innocent man, which Batman does mention that it could be an innocent dude here. So we're over to Blackgate, and Gordon is being interred into Blackgate Penitentiary. He's wearing the prison issue orange, and I had to write her name down here, but he meets Warden Agatha Zorbatos. So he meets her. She's the warden at Blackgate. She runs the show, and she's got a bone to pick with Jim in particular. She makes it clear that there's no love lost. She was apparently dismissed by Jim Gordon from the Gotham City Police Department, which saw her then working at Blackgate Penitentiary. So it's she pretty much says that there's no love lost here, but that could be said for anyone. Jim's then led to his cell, of course, with jeers from the population of Blackgate Penitentiary, because Jim did assist in putting half of them in there in the first place, so he's in a very difficult situation. It's at this point where he meets his cellmate Leo, who does seem to be at least civil towards him. He's like an old dude with long white hair and a kind of long white beard. Bit Gandalfy, but he does say they may have just put you, since you've been put among general population, they may as well have put you on death row because you're not going to last in here. I do think Leo is going to start to become a little bit more of a big player in this series. I don't know why. He was just introduced in the last few panels. Something about him, like the wise old man in prison, I can see him maybe having a bit more power in Blackgate than what maybe this is speculation, this didn't happen in the issue, but I can see him maybe having a bit more power behind the gates of Blackgate prison. Yeah, it's Blackgate. So it's just like I can see him having power in there, and maybe keeping Jim Gordon, I can't call him Commissioner Gordon anymore, but keeping Jim Gordon safe while he's in there, just until his innocence is proven. But yet again, we don't know if Jim Gordon actually is innocent at this point, but we as readers did see a gun, just as Jim Gordon did. Whether that's a fake out or not, we don't know. We have to believe that there was a gun there at the moment. So yeah, that's it all. It does say right at the very end, which I thought was like cheesy as hell, and I do worry that the next issue is going to be, what that's said, it's the next issue panel. Yeah, I just thought this was cheesy as hell. I just thought, please don't do some sort of filler issue, because it says next, Nanobot Nightmare. What the hell? There's not been talk of nanobots yet. So that's my review of Batman Eternal issue 4. Sadly, it's not as good as the previous 3 issues. I do hope the art picks up. I have seen this guy's artwork before, and it's never look like this. It's normally better. I have seen it before. I do think it was in the Batman, early in the New 52 Batman run, not Detective Comics or Dark Knight. Pencils is by Dustin Nguyen, and inks is by Derek Friedolfs, and I'm sure I've seen it before. I'm sure I've seen their work before, but I just can't remember where. And it's sad to see the artwork change, because I was digging the original artwork so much, and the story is a little bit disjointed too, but other than that it is enjoyable. But I just can't say it's not as enjoyable as issue 1, 2 or 3. Here's to hoping issue 5 picks up. Just because there's been a bad issue doesn't mean they're going to not stop the review. I am going to keep on with it. I have already pre-ordered yet again. I can't call it a pre-order. I did find out during this whole embarking on reviewing every issue of Batman Eternal that there is it's not called a pre-order, it's called a pull list. So I learned something from this. I also learnt when Free Comic Book Day is in England, I presume it's the same as America, and I attended a Free Comic Book Day. Unfortunately, all the DC and Marvel had gone by the time I got there. And my daughter, who was there with me, also insisted on reading a Hellraiser graphic novel while my back was turned for a moment, so she probably had nightmares. So that's it for this time. I'm going to try and do my next issue review just whenever I can fit it in. I do need a little bit of time to digest the issue. It's one of the reasons why this one's a little bit late. I just couldn't get my head around it. I couldn't figure out how I felt about the issue with the change of art. I didn't want to judge it too harshly just because the art changed, and I went back and I reread it and I just thought, you know what, time jump, the art difference, it does matter when you're reading an issue of a comic which is part of the series. So I'm going to review it as honestly as I can instead of trying to be objective about it, which was when I was being objective about a review. It was just like, man, this sucks, I don't like it because everything's changed. But it's just like, if things do change and you don't like them, you're going to have to include that as part of a review. I didn't like the story to start off, but when I reread it, I actually realised it was a lot better than my initial reaction, which, I was judging the story because I wasn't liking the art anymore. It's not to my personal taste. Some of you guys out there might like it. There's a scene of Gordon being led in. It just looks a little weird. I do like the way Agatha Zorbatos looks. She looks kind of cool, a bit like Rogue, but with short hair, and it's just the art style didn't match from the previous issues. So I've covered absolutely everything once again, maybe talked a little bit longer than what I should have. So yeah, I'm going to continue on with this series regardless. It's just a shame that the issue quality dipped just a little. If I was to put numbers on my issue reviews, I would say last issue was maybe an 8 out of 10. I would say this one would probably be about a 6. So it's still just, it's average, it's not fantastic. But I don't like putting numbers on. I can just tell you what I liked about it, what I didn't, and you can make up your own minds from there. So as always, I've been Ensign Strider, and I should go.